All right, we are live. Happy Saturday, everyone. Thank you for joining me again for the last business we have today for Black Business Highlights. So today we are with Miss Inacent Saunders. We're going to be speaking to her about her business. So we're going to go ahead and just hop right in. So go ahead and tell us who you are. Some of you guys may have recognized her. She was a event speaker at one of our brunches pre-COVID. But go
Right.
ahead and introduce yourself to our audience and let us know about your business.
Sure. Well, first of all, Faye, thank you for the opportunity. I've been looking forward to this. But to everyone who may not know me, my name is Inacent Saunders. I am a nonprofit consultant. The name of my business is Groundwork for Change. And I've actually been living in Arizona now for 2 years. November made 2 years officially. I moved here from Brooklyn, New York in 2018. But in terms of my professional work, I've been working in the nonprofit sector my entire working life, literally from my first after school job at 15 years old through to today, where I work my business part time while also serving as a part time executive director for a local organization here in Arizona. It's just been my passion for like 25 years now. So I guess we'll share more intimately and more in depth as we go along, but that's the general overview about who I am and where I'm from and why I'm here today.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So we're gonna just hop right in and talk about more of your services in detail. So when we talk about nonprofit consulting, what is that exactly for someone who might not know what it is you actually do?
Yeah, so when we use the term nonprofit consultant, what we're actually referring to is some type of business consultant. Nonprofit organizations are businesses as well, they just are a particular type of business. So anytime you hear someone using the term nonprofit consultant, it means they do some type of business consulting around either the formation or scaling of nonprofit organizations. Myself in particular, I'm a planning specialist. So my areas of specialty include helping people plan their business plans for their organizations, planning new programs, so program development for their organizations, planning how to recruit their board of directors, so that's board planning. And then I also do some training and development, but I do also have a niche of working with nonprofit founders because that's an area that I am passionate about. That's a population I care about deeply, particularly nonprofit founders of grassroots organizations. And when I use that term, all I mean is organizations kind of founded in the communities in which they're seeking to serve by people who are impacted by the issues they're seeking to solve. So yeah, that's what's meant by a nonprofit consultant. Someone who does an accountant could be a nonprofit consultant, but they specialize in helping nonprofits with their accounting. So yeah, that's what's meant by nonprofit consultant.
Okay. All right. Cool. So because I've seen a lot of different posts in the group about people interested in starting a nonprofit
Mhm.
and or some type of assistance with what the necessary steps are. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. But I wanted to ask you because I know you're here in Arizona, but you're originally from the East Coast. So do you service people nationwide, or is it only Arizona?
It's actually nationwide. And I'll tell you, when I first started consulting, it was just mainly in New York because you start off with your networks, right? But when I came out here in 2018, it gave me the opportunity to work for an organization that sponsored nonprofits all over the country. And so I learned a great deal about starting initiatives in several different states. So if I can't, or if I'm inexperienced in a particular state or area, I tell people I'm not the one to be able to help you. But if it's an area that I feel like I've done before, I'm competent in, I know how to navigate it, I absolutely welcome clients from all over.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So I just wanted to make sure we touched on that because I
Yeah.
don't want anyone to think that you only work with, people in Arizona. So she is nationwide, you guys. And by the way, I did put her website in the comment section. I'm going to drop her Instagram and Facebook page in the comments as well. But while I'm doing that, I kind of wanted to go into a little bit more detail as far as what is a nonprofit. Because one of the things that I've learned is that people want to find a way to give back to the community by starting a nonprofit, but there are several layers to starting it. So I kind of want you to touch bases with on that as far as what exactly is a nonprofit. Let's just start there.
Sure. And that question, Faye, it actually sparks a follow-up question. I kind of want you to put a pin in terms of do people really need to start a nonprofit to do?
Yes.
Okay,
so let's take care of both of those questions right now, because those are two very good questions.
Okay. I want to keep my stream of thought straight. But your initial question about what is a nonprofit? A nonprofit organization is typically an organization that's set up to do some type of social good work. However, setting up a nonprofit is not the only way to go about doing social good work. But let's talk about the nonprofit path first. When an organization or person decides that they want to start a nonprofit organization, essentially what they're doing is they're telling their state government and their federal government that they're about to start a business that's going to be charitable in nature, meaning that in order to accomplish its mission and to do the work that it wants to do, that's going to, have this great impact on society, that they are going to be applying for tax exempt status with the federal government. So in your business formation paperwork, there's some terminology you put in that state level paperwork, your articles of incorporation that tells the state that you're in, that you're going to be organizing for this charitable purpose. And then when you take that next step and apply for tax exempt status from the federal government, you're also telling them, these are the things we'll be doing, which we will be raising money for from the public. And we want to be able to not pay taxes on that money. That's what it means to be a tax exempt organization, a federally tax exempt organization. So that when your aunts and them or your job or whoever donates money to your organization will not be taxed on that income coming in.
Okay.
So that's the technical kind of what you're saying when you say you want to start a nonprofit organization. However, because you're talking about your state government having some level of oversight in terms of what you're doing, and the federal government having some oversight in terms of what you're talking about doing, some people, when they say they want to start a nonprofit, they may not necessarily need to go about filing all that business paperwork and going through all that to do, when what they really want to do is organize and do something good. And we've seen people do that, right? Faye, I hope it's all right if I use you as an example. If you're in any of the Black Women of Arizona groups, anytime a need is presented, Faye will let us know. I vetted this need. It's a real need. She has said several times, I've been in the group 2 years now, we're not a nonprofit organization. We're thinking about that in other ways, but so your donations are not going to be tax deductible or what have you. But all she does is organize to meet a community need. Now, I don't mean to make that sound oh so simple, but oftentimes when people say they want to start a nonprofit, they're not actually saying, I want to own a business entity. I want to control a business entity. I want the IRS in my business. I want to have to file quarterly and annual statements. I want to have a board of directors. They're not saying all of that. What they're saying is, I want to do something good for my community. And there are a few ways to organize formally and do something good for your community or whatever, population you want to work with, without having to go the formal business formation route or without having to go that route just yet. because you may want to test out this program that you're talking about before you start filing paperwork and paying, to file all these paperwork with the government in your state. So I'll pause there because I tend to ramble, but just know that when people say they want to start a nonprofit, in my experience, I have a lot of conversations with people, and it's like, well, you don't want a business. You just want to help the kids. So go ahead, help the kids. Mm-hmm. You don't want a business. You just want to give out food. Go ahead, give out food. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you so much for covering that, because I think I don't just based on what I've seen, because again, like you said, I'm not a nonprofit at all. Mm-hmm. But some of the things that I've seen, people are like, I want to give back to the community, and they think they have to go through that process. So thank you so much for covering that. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the misconceptions or some of the things that you see, because you've been in this industry for forever. I think it's safe to say that. So what are some of the things that you've seen when it comes to starting a nonprofit, and what most people think it is and what it actually is? Because I know when you spoke at our brunch a while back, you had touched on the fact that in order to be a nonprofit, you have to have a board of directors, I believe you call it, right? So I want you to kind of dive into that a little bit, as far as some of the things that you've seen since working in this industry.
Yeah. So I'll start with that one actually that you just mentioned. One of my least favorite terms, and don't feel bad if you've used this term. I'm sure I still use it to this day, but one of my least favorite terms is my nonprofit. I can't wait till I start my nonprofit. The fact of the matter is, when you're starting a nonprofit organization, although it may be your concept, it may be your vision, it may be your strategy, from the moment you form and decide you want to get tax exempt status from the government. And let me just backtrack there. When I say tax exempt status, that's what they mean when they say 501c3 status. Okay. Some people come and they say, oh, I need help with my 501c3. 501c3 is a tax status where if the IRS gives you that status, it means that your organization is exempt from federal income tax. So back to my nonprofit. The reason why that's one of my least favorite terms is because once you complete that paperwork and you establish that organization and you have these bylaws and you establish this board of directors, which is charged with making sure the organization is fiscally and legally sound, so financially and legally sound, technically, it's not your nonprofit anymore. That board of directors, and this doesn't happen also common that it needs to be a major concern or a threat or cause anxiety, but I'm just talking about the semantics of it all, the official paperwork of it all. Technically, that organization is not yours. That board of directors can say, you know what, you founder, sir, ma'am, we don't think you're the right person to lead this charge anymore. We're going to relieve you of your duties and hire a new director. But you can say, well, I started this. How can you put me out? You started it. You may have even executed the paperwork. And again, it may have been your vision. But once formed, that board of directors is charged with making sure that organization is fiscally and legally sound. And if they have grounds to say that you may not be the best person to lead that charge, they can, within, whatever labor law rights, relieve you of your duties. And it is not your organization. So I went down that whole rabbit hole to say, the misconception is that this is your pet project. And that's another reason I say some people don't really want a whole nonprofit organization. They don't want a business. They want to do their pet projects. They want to do the thing that makes them feel good. But once you formally organize, even though your name is on that paperwork as founder and possibly even director, the board of directors can excuse you. And it has happened. Okay. Again, not so much that you need to be worried about that, but it's not your pet project once you formulate it in a business, into a nonprofit business. Another misconception about what people think it is versus what it actually is, I would say, is the fundraising aspect of it. For some people for some reason, people think, and it's all right, y'all. I know we have varying levels of understanding, but when you get your 501c3 determination or your tax exempt status from the government, that the windows of heaven don't just open up with money pouring out.
Right,
A
right.
lot of folks are like, I need to get my 501c3 so I can start raising money and I can start applying for these grants. You're right. You do need, in many instances, many grant making entities want you to be a full-fledged nonprofit organization, tax exempt organization, in order for you to qualify for grants. However, the vast majority of those grant makers are not looking for startup organizations to give money to. They're not looking for organizations that have not tried and tested their work to give money to. So having the 501c3 status or one of the many other tax exempt designations, doesn't mean that automatically money is going to start coming in and that you'll qualify. As a matter of fact, Faye, one of my biggest things, I tell people, I talk myself out of clients all the time when I tell people they're not ready. One of the things I encourage people to do is to research what specific grants do you want to apply for that you think you would have a shot when you do formalize? And I don't do that as a discouragement. I literally want people to go look and see the grant requirements that might say you need to be in existence for 3 years. You need to have 4 years of financial documents. You need to have established partnerships in your communities. Now, that's not all grant opportunities, but it is an overwhelming majority of them. They're going to have qualifications beyond just your having your tax exempt status. So that's another area where I think people, what they think it is versus what it actually is. And another reason I encourage people, test out your program, try it out first before you file paperwork number one. One of my old mottos, I need to bring it back, is purpose before paperwork. If you want to help the kids, and I come from youth development, y'all. I worked with teenagers for the overwhelming majority of those 25 years. If you want to help the kids, if you want to feed the homeless, start helping kids and feeding the homeless before you go to the state of Arizona and say, I'm your brand new nonprofit organization. Don't do it. Don't. I strongly urge against it. Even if you just test it out for a little while. Find out who's going to give me food so I can feed the homeless. What partners can I work with to feed the homeless? Where can I go to set up this tutoring program I want to do? What schools could I partner with? A lot of that preliminary legwork will save you some, not heartache, but some unnecessary stress when it is time to file the paperwork. So purpose before paperwork. And then there's probably other kind of inconsistencies I could reference, but I think those are the top two.
Okay. Thank you. You just covered so much. Like, I don't even know. I don't even know where to start. Jay Renee said great guidance. Thank you so much for tuning in, Renee. But it's just I want to kind of talk about what you talked about because it was a lot. So when we talk about the requirements for these grants and things like that. Now, this is not my industry. I do business consulting, but not this kind. I want to ask you, because my assumption is that when you become a nonprofit, when you go and file all of the paperwork and things like that, these companies that donate to the nonprofit, it's more it's a business transaction for them because that's their way of getting maybe like a tax write-off and things like that. But then also for you as a nonprofit, you have to be able to show that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing with the money and think. So is that the reason why a lot of them require that you're in, in the industry for a certain amount of time?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a matter of I don't want to say show and prove, but we assume the best about everyone. But I could set up a nonprofit organization tomorrow. I could expedite my paperwork with the state of Arizona. I could, use the fastest route with the IRS to tax exempt status. I might get my nonprofit set up in 4 months. And if I were a person of less morals, I could have 10 major donors. I could have $1 million in my nonprofit's bank account within a matter of months. When you talk about people setting up businesses to hide money and to kind of, I want to be careful with my words, Faye. I want to be careful with my words. Point being, yes, you are correct. The government wants to make sure that you are going to be doing what you said you're going to do with these charitable dollars. That's another thing. That money is public money. That's considered public money, whether you got it from a government grant, a community grant, a foundation grant, because you have told the government that you are a public charity, that is now public money. And I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole, but if your organization, God forbid, needs to close its doors tomorrow and you have money in the bank, that money needs to go to another charitable organization doing similar work. It doesn't go in anybody's pockets. The government is going to watch and make sure that the assets from ABC nonprofit organization, when they closed its doors, went to another charitable organization, because that is public money. So yeah, they want to watch and they want to make sure that you're not just setting up these things to be able to receive money. All 10 of your friends get tax deductions now because they done hid, $100,000 worth of donations each in your nonprofit. And then that's why, even though you're exempt from income tax, you still have to file what's called a 990 tax return at the end of every year. So again, there's accounting that goes along with this. Some people, when they start a nonprofit, they don't want to do all the business to-dos, right? But you got to keep track of all money in and all money out. And you got to show the government, we spent 30% on programs, 20% on salaries, another 20% on overhead. You literally got to give an account for all of the money that you do bring in. So I strayed from your question a little bit, but
no, this is good information. I'm gonna let you go.
That's it, though. Yeah, that you got to show the government, and even in the application process itself for your tax exempt status, we know that people's missions can change all the time. Well, not all the time, but people's missions can widen or narrow. But in that application, you need to tell them, we'll be doing X activity, which is serving this amount of people in this particular city. During this times of year, perhaps. You have to be specific. Your mission is to feed the hungry. Okay, what exactly are you doing? Are you doing food pantry? Are you doing food lines? Are you doing food service? Are you doing food prep? Are you partnering with other agencies so that they can give out the food? But you got to tell the government everything. And that becomes a public document. Because if I, as a donor, potential donor, want to see what you say you're about, I should be able to go pull your organizing documents for the state and the IRS and see all what you said that you do. I'll pause there.
Okay, I feel like there's so much I want to talk about, but I'm trying to stay on schedule here. Jonice put in the comments stewardship reporting. So for someone who doesn't know what that is, let's talk about that really quickly. What exactly is stewardship reporting? Or is that required in a nonprofit?
So I've actually never heard that term. I don't work specifically in fundraising, but what it sounds like it is, what's her name? Jay Renee? DJ
Yes.
Renee? Feel free to share with us your definition of it. What I believe stewardship reporting is basically what it sounds like, letting the public, because your tax documents also are public record. I can go pull any nonprofit organization's 990s offline, but you're telling the public and the government what you did, how you stewarded that money that you got in that particular year. So BJ Renee, let us know if you mean something different by that, but that's exactly what it sounds like to me.
Okay. All right, perfect. So let's talk about when we look at nonprofits and the bigger companies and things like that, we also notice that okay, I don't want to name any names here, but there's a very, very big nonprofit organization that's known nationwide or worldwide. And they were raising money, I think, for a hurricane or something that happened. And they raised like, I think, $1 million or $2 billion. It was a huge amount.
Yeah.
And only 10% of that went to the actual cause. So I'm not here to talk about whether or not it's a moral issue. We're not going to get into that. But I want to talk about how were they able to do that, because I think for another misconception when we think about nonprofits is that people think, well, I can't pay myself because I run a nonprofit. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay. So the situations that happen, like the one that you described, how organizations, big or small, are able to get away with that, so to speak, if you can see my air quotes, is that you have to read the fine print. All of us, I assume, may have seen some type of solicitation language that might say 100% of all proceeds go to XYZ. An organization could say they're raising money for hurricane relief, just as for example. But does that mean 100% of the funds raised are going to go to people impacted by the hurricane? Quite honestly, no. It could just be 10%, because raising money for hurricane relief may mean that they're also raising money to pay their staff on the ground, to be able to process those donations, to be able to send supplies back and forth, to be able to send people back and forth. And so there's I don't want to say you got to read the fine print, but you could ask questions. Of this donation, what portion of it is going to go to the cause? Of this donation, will it be 100% directly to? As a matter of fact, many of us have received solicitations either in the mail or something, where they'll have the little envelope or the little form where you can complete that says, I want all of this money to go to, the youth services, or I want it all to go to staff salaries. It never says that, but I want all this money to go to your street outreach program. It lets you designate where your money goes, so that the donor knows this money is going to go exactly where I tell it to go. Hurricane relief is a general term.
Right.
Like I said, even with the helping the homeless type scenario, when you're applying for your tax exempt status, the IRS wants to know what you're doing. What exactly are you doing? Tell us these specific activities. Hurricane relief, a portion of that could go to the activity of shipping supplies, a portion to the activity of buying the supplies, a portion to staff salaries, which are necessary to execute this mission. So that is one way, aside from possibly mismanagement of funds or deception, that ethically an organization can take the money you've donated for a particular cause and use it in a multitude of ways that they deem necessary to work for that cause.
Okay.
To the specific question about paying yourself from a nonprofit, this is why it's important to raise what we call diversifying your income, diversifying your revenue streams. You don't want to get 100% of your funds from grants or from individual donations from people or from special events or what have you. The grant from XYZ Foundation has a right to tell you how to spend that money. And unfortunately, a lot of times, grant makers will tell you explicitly, no staff salaries. They're not paying for staff salaries. They said, we're going to pay for the work. We're a foundation. We care about kids. We want to fund your program for kids. We're not paying for staff. We're paying for art supplies, sports supplies, curriculum, but we're not paying for staff. So diversifying where your money is coming from allows you to free up some cash flow to be able to actually pay staff or what's it called? Pay rent. You know, a lot of them will tell you also, we're not paying for overhead. You can't pay your phone bill or your rent with the grant we're giving you.
Listen now.
So one tactic to always think about is diversifying your funding in such a way that you can do a multitude of things with your money, right? But you can make a salary in nonprofits. You just mentioned, Faye, you know, a well-known, we didn't name the name, but these big nonprofits, they're paying people. Your small nonprofits, they're paying people. Not everything, not for some reason, I know the history, but nonprofit has been equated to 100% volunteerism, and that's not the case. Again, because you go on the nonprofit route and establish a business organization that you've told your state and your federal government what you're going to be doing, you have a right to hire people. That's a business. So you really just want to make sure that you have enough money. That's the thing. You may not be able to pay yourself on day one, year two, but hopefully as time goes on, you have a multitude of places or enough money, even general money coming in, right, that you can start to pay yourself a salary. And that's usually the way it goes. People, they'll start the organization, they'll start small. Their first few years, they're not doing anything. Maybe then they can switch to being a part-time employee for their nonprofit, the nonprofit they started. And then, you know, either hire in the future or scale up and go full-time. But yeah, you can pay yourself and staff for nonprofit work.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So thank you so much for answering that. I wanted to make sure that we touch on that because like I said, I'm not here to say whether it's right or wrong. I'm just here to provide the education because that is a huge misconception that I've seen in our community. And it's not necessarily a bad thing to get paid while you serve your community. So I just wanted to make sure we touch on that so that people were aware of that. I'm also going to share your, let's talk about this really quickly here while I put it in the comments. You have a free download available on your website, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to put that in the comment section. If you can just briefly tell us what it's for.
Sure. So the planning guide is called the Nonprofit Strategy Launch Guide. And what it is it's a PDF document, a fillable PDF document that walks a prospective nonprofit founder through some basic areas of planning and consideration in thinking through their organization. So I've met a whole host of people, like you said, you'll tag me in these things and people have questions about starting a nonprofit, but they haven't really thought it all the way through. And it's okay, but don't go do paperwork and you haven't thought it all the way through. So it's a guide that will allow you to think through that language for what your activities actually are, to whom, even who you're going to serve. You can say you're going to serve kids. Which kids? Ages 5 to 10 or middle school age, or, are they kids from a particular neighborhood? Are they kids of a particular ethnicity or marginalized community, I should say? So it allows you to think through some of that. It also allows you to think through your mission statement, a solid mission statement. And your mission statement may change over time, but like I said, a lot of times I have people tell me what their mission is and it doesn't connect, it doesn't hit. So it gives you a few examples of mission statements and some space to kind of look at your own. Also, goal setting. I'm gonna keep using these examples. Fine, you want to help the kids. To what end? What is your goal? Will young people graduate from high school at a higher rate because of what you did with them? Will they pass their tests with higher scores because of the work you did with them? Will they have more job skills because of the work you did? What are your goals in doing what it is that you're saying you want to do? To be able to clearly identify your goals is key, not only because it's going to inform what you do, but also it tells your potential donors the expected outcome if they give money to your program, if they give money to your organization. Well, I'm going to give to this young lady, I'm going to give to this young man here because the work they're doing, they're aiming to increase the high school graduation rate of young Black and Latino teens in the Valley. Yes, I'm giving to that. They may not give to, I work with teenagers. Okay?
Right.
It'll also help you to think through some strategic partnerships. Like I said, maybe your first step isn't to form the nonprofit. Maybe your first step is to go to the local YMCA and see if they'll allow you to volunteer your tutoring 2 days a week with their students. Okay, so you don't have to that's a potential type of partnership, right? You don't have to go find kids on your own. You don't got to secure a location on your own. You're going to volunteer, and you can call it whatever you want to call it, Inacent's tutoring program, right? At the Y. You're going to look for potential partners because nobody should be doing their work alone. Nobody. I guarantee you, you may have a piece of the answer, but you don't have the whole answer by yourself. And then you start, the guide also lets you think through and do some research with foundations, looking for those grants. Like I said, when is their deadline? What are their requirements? And things of that nature. So it's a starter guide. You know, somebody may pick it up and say, well, I have this already. I don't need to think through these things. Most people, and it's okay to be most people, have not thought through these things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And guys, I put the link in the comments. It is a free download, so you can go right now and go download it. We covered so much today, and I hope if you're not watching now, you can catch the replay. Because Inacent came with the jewels today, you guys. I'm not even joking. But okay, so in closing, I wanted to if there was anything else we forgot to mention or didn't mention, I want you to go ahead and do that. And then if someone is interested in doing some type of consultation call with you, what is the process for that?
Sure. So in terms of just kind of things to mention, I know some people that may be viewing, may just want to hear from a business owner or what have you. Just in transparency, I already said it. I'm doing my business part-time as it's growing, especially moving from one coast to another and kind of having to establish a new network and what have you. So I just would want to encourage business owners in general, or people thinking about starting a business, to not feel like you have to rush it. Don't feel like you have to dive in tomorrow and go all out. I'll tell you real quick, when I first started consulting, before I even formed my LLC, it was actually in response to a really a downtime in my life. The organization I was working for at the time was going through an acquisition. I was burnt out, beyond burnt out. And I literally just said, I'm not doing this no more. And I gave my 30 days notice and quit without having another job, and said, well, we got to figure out how to make some money. So I actually got into consulting. It had been a dream of mine, an aspiration. But the thing that forced my hand was a really dark time in my life. So don't feel like you have to jump all in, but start somewhere. In terms of how to reach me and what the process typically looks like, you can schedule a call on my website. And I usually take about 30 minutes to just talk with people and see where their head is at. what their particular need is. I may not be the person to help you with what you're doing. As you can tell, hopefully, I have an immense passion for this sector. So I will sit and talk your ear off, free of charge. That discovery call, so to speak, as we call it. I'm not all about converting you into a client. I really want you to have an understanding of what it is you're getting yourself into or not. So I give my time freely for that. And you just set up that call on the website. Like I said, if I'm not the person to work with you, if I have a referral, I'll refer you out, or just let you know what you should be looking for. And if it feels like a match, we would, I'll send you a proposal for the work and what it would look like, and you can opt in or out. But it's relatively simple.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then because this question just popped in my mind here, I wanted to ask you, with your consulting services, is it primarily for people who are wanting to start a nonprofit, or do you also assist people who, let's just take me, for example, maybe I started a nonprofit a month ago. I have, I filled out the paperwork already. Now I just need help with doing my board of directors and reaching out for grant funding and things like that. Are those things that you also assist with, or is it more just in the startup phase?
So that's an excellent question. What has happened in my business over the past year, there's been a good amount of growth. And even though I still will work with nonprofit starters, I'm actually shifting my focus from that. I'll still talk to you and give advice and possibly even help set up if necessary. But I'm shifting from that more to my training. Another area of passion for me is training. That's actually how I got into the nonprofit field, training other teenagers. But training for boards of directors. So I just wrapped up a board retreat with an organization in Southern Arizona, the Diaper Bank of Southern Arizona, down in Tucson. I'm doing another board engagement for an organization in South Carolina. Hopefully, I've submitted a proposal, but it looks like it may be a good match. And I've done training for past clients for their boards of directors and things past the formation stage. So yeah, anywhere along the life cycle that you are in for your nonprofit, I'd love to talk and see if I'm doing a strategic planning process. Like I told you, I'm a planning specialist. A strategic planning process for a team in New York, an organization in New York that needs to plan out what their next 2 years of growth is going to look like. So yeah, I work with both, but I'm leaning more now towards the established organizations.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So I'm not going to even try to sell you guys on this lady right here, because if you were here from the beginning, or if you're just popping in, we know Inacent knows what the heck she's talking about. Okay. So if you're trying to get a nonprofit together and you're looking for somebody who can steer you in the right direction, this is the person you need to go to, you guys. And like I'm always saying, representation matters. We need to support our other Black women in business. We need to support women owned. And what better way to start a nonprofit than supporting a nonprofit consultant from our own community, right? So thank you guys so much for coming on. I don't see any questions in here, but just to recap, her website is in the comments, Facebook, Instagram, the free nonprofit strategy launch guide is in the comments as well. You could download that now. If you want to talk to her some more, you can go to her website to schedule the call. Anything else before we go? Because I know we've been on here for a while, but was there anything else? Any other parting words?
Can I talk a little about my book, or should I leave that alone?
Yes. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So last month I was able to participate in I wrote a piece for a book project, somewhat published by a Black woman here in the Valley, and it's called A Collective Breath: Stories of Being Black in America and Visions of Change. I did a piece in here along with maybe 20 other authors, but you can also learn more about the book on my website. My mom was one of the first people to buy it, and of course she called me and said some of the stories brought her to tears. And so our goal is not to bring people to tears, but it really was a healing it was an important part of my healing after the death of George Floyd and the subsequent events from May onward. I should say throughout history onward, but info about that is on the website also, if you're interested.
Okay, and we'll be donating one of those books at one of our events next year. We have a couple of them up already, so make sure you check that out for your chance to get a free book. But if not, definitely visit the website so you can get more information about that. Inacent, thank you so much for coming on today and giving us life about about the whole process of nonprofits. I've learned a lot, and I don't even have a nonprofit, so
thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming on. And like I said, guys, her information's in the comment section. Reach out to her if you need her. And I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you guys for tuning in. And the replay should be available within like the next few minutes here. So check it out. Show your support. Support Black women. Support women owned. Black Friday is coming up. Let's keep our money in our community as much as possible. But that's it for me, you guys. So you guys have a good weekend. And I might see you guys again next weekend. So bye now. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Faye.
You're welcome.